Sam Raimi movies turn out to be about revenge as the main theme. That's kinda stupid. First, quick on the previous movie had the advantage of speed. It had constant fast speed. This movie is slower, but more epic. This also includes using CGI more technically. Uh, it it just improved that much. The couple years 2 years between the two movies. So we could have Dr. Octavius, which this movie's version compared to the comic books is highly different, starting with he had a wife for some reason. The movie never does anything with it, it just implies a certain damn that he's like Spider-Man, but it is not how it should be. At least not if you care about the comics. But otherwise, it is following the formula of the Spider-Man stories. Spider-Man meets villain, villain wins. Spider-Man meets villain again. Spider-Man wins. Dead. J. Jonah Jameson is a masterclass here. He's absolutely unbeatable. This guy is just nailing it, flipping attitude at the second notice, but he's always proved to be caring for his stuff and, wife and whatnot. What I miss is some of the beats this movie rises but never follows up upon. Like at the end, it's Peter Parker or Spider-Man getting a conflict with J. Jonah Jameson the Younger. That goes nowhere. It should have been a villain arc, he transforming werewolf like in the comics. Or the financial troubles, when Peter gives up on Spider-Man, the financial troubles just disappear despite, with not being Spider-Man, he gives up also on his main income, namely the Spider-Man photos in the Daily Bugle. And there is the renter's daughter, who could be just cut out of the whole film because it goes nowhere. Thematically, it presents a life expectancy for Peter that giving up MJ would not mean decision between happiness and responsibility. He can have both, just happiness on a lesser degree. And this is entirely ruined by MJ, who is not the villain. I saw titles on YouTube that, or the real villain of the Sam Raimi universe is MJ. She is not. Is she a good person? No! She is a gold digger. But she's a victim. She is a victim of house abuse. Her father was very baiting the family type. By the way, in the first movie, I don't see them not living in the city. I thought they are living in the city, but what do I know? The movie never says where they live. It very much seems the city, but okay, whatever. I thought we are not doing Superman, but the movie even does the Jesus Spider-Man imagery. Like the Jesus Superman. That was absolutely unnecessary. So I'm fine with the story, satisfied with the casting, like the imagery, but I have trouble connecting certain themes with other themes which are movie exclusive. You know, Spider-Man is an addicted personality. And the whole of the Spider-Man comics is actually a psychoanalysis of one mind. Both in the comics and in these movies, Spider-Man is addicted to Spider-Man. I mean, Peter Parker is addicted to this illusion of grandeur, big responsibility. You must be Spider-Man, you must take the burden, despite obviously not being able to wield it. And that makes Uncle Ben the villain. And also Aunt May, who does not support Peter when he tells the story of the death of Uncle Ben. By the way, this entire movie could have been solved just going to Norman Osborn, the younger, and asking for money without interest. Because he is rich, so he can do that. Or safety protocols. The guy has a lab. We know about the risk of magnetism. So why we have metal objects all around, and why are we doing this potentially city destroying power in the middle of the city? Yeah, I question that. And you know, not even the guests were informed that you should take down the jewelry and stuff, because this is practically an open MRI. So you can die because of that. So them all having a loose thing in the necklace that just releases on pull, that was very lucky for them. And not having any implant was very lucky for them. Yeah. We could discuss why Doc Ock, or like anybody, goes back to the drawing board and calculate the whole energy producing cycles, because it's obviously using a positive backfeed to start a fusion. So that's overloads, and that causes all the problem. So you just have to fix that, and that's a minor problem. But this is a comic book movie, and an early comic book movie, and you know, there is the tentacles, and that's another problem. Why there is no spare chip? Why the medical team is not informed about the chip? And why is there no proper restraint for the tentacles? You know, safety protocols. Now, let's discuss a bit about Spider-Man. Spider-Man has like 50 goblin enemies in the comics, and here, of course, one of the greatest enemies represented is the Green Goblin. I will always miss the Yellow Goblin on the screen, but you know, what can we do? The goblins are what Peter Parker fears he will become. How the general audience will see him as a freak. Now, Doc Ock, on the other hand, and this is why important to not have him a wife, is a scientific genius who goes all his supervillain paths because he's used with the tentacles. And that's the only problem with him. Otherwise, he's everything Spider-Man wants to be. He's scientifically successful. He's socially successful. Like, he had an affair with Aunt May to start with. And we all know how dependent on Aunt May Peter Parker is. And he even had a wet dream in the comics about Aunt May, the old one. The one that appears here. Although I think Ben Parker was not in retirement, which he was in the comics, so this Aunt may already be younger than the comic book counterpart. And of course, don't even start with the financial part of this. So, and that is the conclusion of the original Spider-Man run. He is merged with Dr. Octopus and becomes the perfect Spider-Man. So that is in conflict with this story, which is about revenge, and somehow the tragedy of Peter here is that he has to be, with big power comes big responsibility. This is not a motivation, this is a curse here. Let's see what the third movie can provide.